how to handle the exam periods for the 4 or 5 years coming up when they coincide with Ramadan. Canteens and bars were taking all sorts of exotic stances on for or against halal food, alcohol-free events, single-sex socials, and there were bitter rumours in one institution that the Muslims were getting free lunches. That didn't go down well. There were campus banks which either could or couldn't handle the requests of Muslim students for halal borrowing, for student fees, and so on and so on. Now these might all be pressing reasons for taking religion more seriously in university operations, in their operations, but it still leaves the really tricky question of whether and how to take religion seriously in the curricula. So how should teaching and learning respond? And I just want to make some comments about the responses that we could make. So in some subjects, of course, religion is simply, it's a topic of relevance, as in history and of course in religious studies itself. In others, it's a cultural legacy, if you like. It's something to be decoded and understood. So there's a growing phenomenon of teaching the Bible for students of English so that they can read Donne or Milton. And in others, it embodies the opposite of the rational sort of scientific method, which somehow has come to characterise the modern university. It's seen as a complete irrelevance. So I'm thinking here of Richard Dawkins' comparison between astrology and astronomy. And in some cases, this produces hostility against all religious ideas in a very sort of muddled way. And I think this can feel very painful for students who, as some of our research has shown, can feel very uncomfortable to hear lecturers be quite rude or offensive, actually, about their beliefs or about belief in general. And of course, in the social sciences, religion has not been a popular variable for many decades, although that's changing and people are noticing that again now. Okay, so to summarise, where are we now? Well, I've observed a lamentable quality of conversation about both religion and the secular. And at the same time, I've argued for a really pressing need for a better quality of conversation in order to avoid knee-jerk reactions which focus only on bad religion and some sort of neutral public sphere. And universities know that they've got to get much better at providing a really excellent student experience. And they're also starting to have this debate about the role of religion in their wider curricula, in their wider teaching and learning. And I think what this all reflects is a really crucial contention in the rest of society about the re-emergence of religious faith as a public category at all. Is society secular or sacred, or complexly both? Well, obviously I think both. To what extent should religion be private or public? Can we leave religious identity at the door? I say we can't, and we shouldn't need to. I think we should name it and then handle it. It's my view that one's own religion, beliefs or non-beliefs, whatever one's own stance, should be completely irrelevant to the way we engage with them in others, and that we absolutely must engage with them in others because they're not going anywhere, they're not going away. And I also think that if we were as bad at dealing with race or gender as we are at religion or belief, we would know that we had a very serious problem on our hands. So I'd like to see, and I'm nearly done, I'd like to see educators at all levels, school all the way through to university, and for that matter in community and public education too, teach about religion in at least 4 key ways. I'd like to see teaching about the real religious landscape, not an imagined one, which harks back to the 1950s. And this picture amused me because it's all these wonderful saints, then there's a Buddha lurking in the background. That's quite good. I'd like to see teaching which enables students to really engage with their own prejudices and muddles, both about religion and the secular, and to straighten that out. I'd like to see teaching which focuses on the religion and belief which is already there, and not so much on religion as a thing of the past or something sort of other and out there. And I'd like to see teaching of religion as an integrated part of education, not a marginal add-on, which, by the way, is often colonised anyway by things like citizenship studies and ethics. So I think teaching about religion really needs to equip a new generation to work in really sophisticated ways with the religiously plural publics that are now their realities. And within that to engage with what I've called fuzzy secularity. I think we've got to engage really intelligently with a majority religious world that's much more mixed than it had been expected, to be able to travel, to trade, to communicate across borders, not just religion and belief ones, but those included, and to see in religion, this is my view and others will debate this, some of the poetic wisdom which has helped previous generations to thrive, I think, and not just dismiss it as some sort of primitive mythological nonsense of the past. It's what David Ford, I think, very nicely calls putting the past into dialogue with the present for the sake of the future. I really like that quote. So after a century of, as I've said, what I've called fuzzy secularism in schools and universities, I think it's time to really seriously rethink how we educate about religion, that really brings home that we need to equip professionals, young people, our graduates, to understand that religion is everywhere, it is contemporary, and there are some really pressing issues that need to be engaged with. Thank you for listening to me.